Today, we're going to talk through a duplicate one-of-one NFL shield that was graded by BGS. No, you're not in the Twilight Zone, guys. We've actually got another one of these that have popped up. And it once again involves the likes of PWCC, Goldin Auctions, eBay, and obviously BGS, as I alluded to a little bit earlier. Now, as I show you these duplicates, I'm going to, talk to them, but I'll do some comparatives on screen as well so you can see things a little bit easier as I do talk to them. Now, this was sent to me via a subscriber on Instagram. They saw my previous video on the duplicate Lamar Jacksons and thought this was pretty interesting. They were surfing eBay and saw these two listings very clearly by different sellers, BCG Collectibles there, BGN_cards. And you can see here as well, the cards themselves are very different. This one in particular has a very suspect looking shield in comparison to, the ones you'd expect to be on this card, but also it's quite comparable to that dodgy looking shield we saw on the Lamar Jackson. Now here is the other card, clearly jumping between the two. You can see they are in fact different cards. Now some of you again similar to that Lamar Jackson might say, well, are you sure these are the same card? Yes, they are premium patch autographs. You can see on the back PRSB, again premium patch autographs on the back, again PRSB. Now I'll talk to the checklist very quickly. There is meant to be two one-of-ones for this insert. One of them being a team logo one-of-one or a manufacturer logo one-of-one, so the Nike symbol or something along those lines, and then a shield one-of-one. Now, as is the case for every other player, like was the case for that Lamar Jackson, every other player only has one-of-one shield in this set. Because the checklist specifically calls out the NFL shield as being a one-of-one, that means it's meant to be the only one, okay? Now, as I touched on a little bit earlier, this does involve the likes of PWCC and Goldin Auctions. The card is currently listed, or this one is, I should say, the one for $6,000 with the more, expected looking shield for $5,500 on PWCC's platform. And similar to the Lamar Jackson situation, which again is pretty funny here, it is a one-of-one masterpiece, only copy ever made. Like I said, the same sort of thing here. It's clearly not, and it again looks pretty poor on PWCC's part, but again, it's not really their fault, to be honest. This card that is currently listed on PWCC's platform was listed back in August of 2022 and did in fact sell for $3,360. I've reached out to PWCC. I'm yet to get a comment. The other one with the more, suspect looking shield was sold on Goldin's auctions in August 2022 as well. Now, what's interesting with this is that these were redemptions in that set, and I can show you that here because Platinum Breaks did hit this or one of the shields in a different insert back 4 years ago, and all his autos were, redemptions in that set. Now, it's pretty interesting because like we said with regards to the Lamar Jackson situation, it involves the auction houses, it involves the graders, and once again draws a lot of questions. The thing I want to make pretty clear here is that they've both been graded by BGS. That should raise a lot of questions for you as an individual, as a collector participant within this hobby, because you'd expect BGS to be doing some form of due diligence to make sure they're not making mistakes within this process, right? We say and we laugh about that statement in PWCC's listing about it being a true one-of-one, the only thing you're ever going to see for that thing. It's a masterpiece. How come BGS didn't notice it when they were processing that into their database, into their pop report? Surely they should be having something that would capture something like this. Because how else would they then, avoid seeing, any other serial number being duplicated in the future or in the past? It's a pretty big error on their part, in my opinion, and something they need to do, a heck of a lot better at moving forward, because how does that slip through the cracks? Now, because these were sold on PWCC's platform, I'm really hoping that by me reaching out to them, if they think or we think that the same person was involved in both of these, as I touched on with the patch top a little bit earlier, I really hope they're the same person for both that have submitted them to BGS, because that's going to solve this problem at least really quickly. That's going to be a quick win. I very much doubt that anyone would be that stupid, to be honest, to buy some dodgy, jerseys from overseas, put them in these one-of-one cards, and then submit them to BGS themselves. That's a quick way to sort of get caught. But if that is the case, I think this, investigation, if PWCC do look into it and do in fact get back to me, which might be, I'm not going to hold my breath, basically, that might be a quick win for us. It's just, pretty crazy. And the thing I want to flag as well, I've been able to track working alongside the likes of Auburn35, who I've mentioned on this channel before, really helpful. I sent him these duplicates after one of my subscribers reached out. He helped me do a bit of research and found some more information. He's the one who found the Panini redemption history and shows that these cards were in fact redeemed, or at least one of them was. We can't see anything in there about a second NFL Shield 1/1, which, you know, might be Panini covering their backside because maybe they realized they already gave out a 1/1. Or it could mean that another 1/1 went out the door and somebody patch swapped it then afterwards. Again, similar to the BGS situation, because this was a redemption, we might now be able to see PWCC reaching out to Panini and saying this card in question was sold in our auction house. Looks like there's a duplicate. What gives? Who redeemed it? Maybe that information is still stored on Panini's database. And I think that would be a really good way to sort of end this conversation as well, because it might be a quick win to the answer, a quick answer to the question, I should say. It's just pretty interesting. Now, I might put up some other shields on screen right now to show you, because some of them do look like they have a very similar stitching to the dodgy looking shield, but once you look at them, you know, side by side, you can pretty clearly see that they are still of much better quality. Now, all the things that I've just alluded to indicate that this might be a patch swap, and my way of talking may indicate and suggest that to you as a viewer. You know, while I still think that is entirely possible, I'm not 100% sold. Could this just give more substance to the fact that Panini have just made a mistake? Sure. I think it might be 50-50 at this stage as to where I stand. I genuinely don't know, but could Panini have, you know, had QC cards on hand, right, in case redemption replacements came through or in case damage claims came in, right, and they had a duplicate of this card to hand out to the person as a replacement, which is why the shields look a little bit different. Could they have been test cards? Again, potentially, but why would you get the athlete to sign those? Could they have been blank cards and somebody out at Panini stamped them and put a shield in and then sold it? Entirely possible. Could these be, you know, cards they accidentally printed two of and handed them out as redemption replacements, or just handed them out or got them backdoored? Sure, I think every scenario is entirely possible here. I think it's just a really poor situation, because you're now talking, whilst not the amount of money for the Lamar Jackson, not anywhere near the amount of money for the Lamar Jackson, it's like 1/10, right? You've now got 3 sets of duplicate 1/1 shields. We had, you know, the patch autos or the shield autos for Lamar, they were duplicated. You had just the shields, which are duplicated for Lamar, and now you've got these for Saquan Barkley. How many more are out there, Panini? Like, I really want some help from you guys, because as I touched on, these were redemptions for this player in this set, which means you're not going to find footage in the break, right? We had a bit of hope out there for the Lamar Jacksons, because if we can see a video of them being pack pulled, it sort of squashes all the questions and just puts the blame right back on Panini. And this one, we can't really hope to see breaks. So what I want you guys to try and help me with is to try and reach out to me. Well, not try, but reach out to me if you see any more of these pop up. I don't think it's a coincidence, right, that these are also in 2018 football. I think if we look for breaks around 2018 NFL, around shields, around other types of 1/1s, I think that's where we're going to find more duplicates, if there are in fact more duplicates. 3 times is not a coincidence for that year. So either some hanky panky has gone on out at Panini, and somebody, an employee at that time, found an opportunity to loophole and backdoor this kind of thing, or, you know, somebody just went on a patch swap rampage for that year's product. Now, why would you pick that player, Saquon Barkley? Who knows? Because my understanding is he's not big like Lamar Jackson is. I don't follow NFL, so I do apologize. But there's a trend there, and that's not a coincidence. So I probably just rambled for a little bit there, but please share your thoughts, because this one is pretty interesting. Now, there's still a lot more information going on in the background research, I should say. I reached out to PWCC, no response. Some of you might say, well, why did you put out this video? Well, you don't have all the information. I think there's enough information there to present it to you guys as viewers. But most importantly, I wanted to put it out there to use it as a bit of a stick, to be honest, because if PWCC don't reply to me, now this footage is out there, right? This video is out there. It might get somebody triggered out at Panini to respond. It might get someone out at Goldin to respond, right? It might trigger another viewer out there to reach out and say, well, I've actually found another duplicate, or I know, you know, where these Saquon Barkleys came from. And that's another point I want to raise. If you know who owned these cards or currently owns them and can help me understand the sales history and who owned them at each stage, that's going to go a long way to our research as well. I think it's just a pretty, you know, concerning and alarming situation. I really want to get to the bottom of this, because on one side, you might have another case of Panini sort of letting the hobby down, doing something bad. There might be, you know, fraud going on out at Panini, or you could have fraud and have somebody, you know, doing patch swaps and trying to deceive people and rip them off, and it involves the graders, etc. There's improvement points for each of these businesses across this value chain. PWCC should do better research. I found this really quickly when it was a one-of-one of an NFL Shield. Their statement doesn't clearly state that. I just expect more of them as an auction house. The same thing with Goldin when they sold it. BGS, I expect a heck of a lot better from them when it comes to issues like this. Some of you might say, well, what do you expect them to do? I expect a grader to have a database and track serial numbered cards, right? Because who's to say somebody else can't? I've got a Matisse Thibault here. It's not serial numbered. It's auto. I just sold it, so I'm getting it ready to package it. If this was serial numbered 10 out of 100 or 10 out of 99, I'd expect a grader to be able to track the fact that it's a 10 out of 99, right? So when somebody else submits another 10 out of 99 and they go ahead and check it on camera and they are in fact different cards, but they have the same serial number, that's a question mark, right? That's something you'd expect them to be implementing as part of their process. So another mini rant out of nowhere from me. Actually quickly show you a card I picked up recently for my PC. This is a Willian from 2015 Flawless Soccer, the only year of Flawless. Fantastic set. If you're a soccer fan and you're not buying these cards, you are crazy. 5 of 10, Willian. He is a Chelsea legend, a modern day Chelsea legend. He won multiple titles with Chelsea. The camera's blurry now. You guys don't see many pickups from me because I get all my cards shipped to the States. This one just got shipped here in Australia. So that was sort of it. Mini rant at the end, mini ramble. Nice pickup. Share your thoughts down in the comments below and reach out if you have any more information. Cheers.